Good morning, YouTube. Well, we're out and we're about. Yay. What I'd like to talk to you today is what do you do with all this information people keep throwing at you? So stay tuned. I'll be right back. So, now this has all happened at us when we became a diabetic. They all start throwing information and colloquialisms at us about, you know, your XYZ is up tremendously, or you're having hemoglobin C and you're having Dawn phenomenon. And what do they actually mean? Well, you should be a little proactive. Sorry, and you should really learn what these things mean. And you should use it to your advantage. Now, I want to start this off by saying years ago, when I was a young diabetic, I met up with this doctor at St. Paul's, and this doctor pretty well told me that I had to have a question and I had to try to stump him each day. Well, and then he would say to me, well, did I give you the correct answer or not? So it wasn't that I just had to come up with an answer. I had to give him or make sure the answers he gave me were correct. And so often, we are just, what? You said what? I thought it was only my sugar I had to stay in control. Well, sometimes it's more than that. And it's up to you to learn all about it. Now, probably one of the best things that you could go is go for the Canadian, or sorry, it used to be Canadian Diabetes Association. It is now Diabetes Canada. And you want to ensure that you learn, that you kind of absorb, because it's only going to do you the best. Now, I know to some of you it sounds, oh yeah, it sounds like a teacher I had in the 4th grade. But really, no one will lie in bed with going into surgery to remove a leg or saying, God, I wish I had more times than just pretending nothing was wrong. I can tell you, the more you try to get to a normal blood sugar, the wind here, the more you're going to have the better reactions and how you're going to determine. Now, I still kind of believe that when I was first diagnosed, or not, first had started having diagnosed with diabetes problem, if we were not more diligent on so get off your keister, learn something. Now, get some questions, like some suitable questions, and as you start, it could be like, what is hemoglobin A1C? And then as you move on, well, I know what hemoglobin A1C is, but how will that affect the care, my care. And I think if we do that, if you do that, you will start getting a better control, a better understanding of your diabetes. Because if you learn all about that you can learn right now, you will learn what to look out for and how to maybe correct it yourself. I know there were times that I'd go away for a weekend and I'd end up in an emergency room, and it was like little stuff that I let go too far. There was an infection. When I first got my first major infection, I didn't know that things, if you let things go and what the warning signs are, and I didn't have a plan. And it's so easy to say, oh, well, it was my doctor's fault. My doctor never told me. Well, it's partly your. So you need to be proactive, and you need to learn and to do more than just let your doctor come out with things. And I know before I go to a doctor, I usually will at least take a look at my blood sugars and see where they are and where they should be, and try to think up reasons why you're having this condition. Don't be going in there and thinking, oh, the doctor's going to come up with all the answers. Because you could ask questions. You could say, well, I've been noticing this, and if I do this, will that help? And if your doctor says they want to send you to diabetic education, that's not a negative thing. So many people think that it can be a negative thing, but they're just there to help and help you learn. And lately it's been more of an individual classes. And I know back in the day when I was, a 20-year-old, there was a one-on-one, a class atmosphere. And we learned things and we would do things as a group. If, you may find things out a bit more by learning things through a diabetic support group. But again, just the same as this group, I say that I am not a diabetic educator, and neither are most of these leaders of these groups. So don't be, oh, well, I know everything type thing. There may not be stuff that you don't know. And a lot of times we just need to come back and listen. And I've heard people come into these diabetic classes, or these diabetic, I call them daycare, but diabetic educational clinics, and they're sort of one-on-one. Well, I've had it for 50 years, and you're not going to be able to tell me anything different. Well, sorry to tell you this, but 15 years ago, there wasn't much going on with diabetes care. Now, all the things that are going on, I think you could learn to listen and come up and with stuff. Come up with questions. See how well you know your knowledge. they're not only there to sit down there and shake a finger at you, but they're also there so that you can learn, that you can grow, that if things happen when you're not at home and you're not able to get in touch with your diabetes educators, that you could probably take an educated guess and come up with a great answer. And don't sit back and just try to be a know-it-all out of these classes, and sit back and listen and learn. Go through a few type 1 diabetes websites. Now, if you go for a book, be certain that if you read a book that's more than 5 years old, that you need to maybe take a look and get a newer book, because nowadays diabetes stuff changes so much and the thinking has changed, so we need to be aware of this and ask if anything has changed. Or your doctor may know the book, but I would say, depending on your years of experience, if you've been more than 20 years of being a diabetic, or maybe 15 to 20 or plus, then you could go and get a book that's a lot more in depth. But if you're newly diabetic or under 10 years, you need to go for a book that is pretty clear and pretty precise. You may think that some of it is written fairly simplistic, but don't worry, just as long as it gets the right information by. You need to be aware, and you need to be able to understand, and you need a way to make things easier on yourself. And the way you make things easier on yourself is by learning. And so that there's no complications or no confusions between your doctor and such. So often when people run into problems, and it's always the doctor's fault. Well, the doctor didn't tell me. Well, did you ask? Did you get out there and you ask? And I think we really need to take ownership, and you really need to learn and develop your own understanding. And it's best to be well prepared. Have a great day, and talk to you later. Bye now.